Hi, Bill Henshaw here, Mr. Constitution from the San Francisco Peninsula, and I got an exciting new video here that deals with current events, ongoing events, and you're going to love it because I think I figured out the way that we can get these bastards and get them in their own corrupt courts. I mean, a lot of people out there that know, instinctively know what's going on here, that it can't be right. I happen to be in a position where I not only know that, I can prove why it's wrong, what they're doing, all of it. And now, and this is the big deal, first time in 90 years, we have the U.S. Supreme Court that's going to have our backs on a lot of our issues. That's a major, big deal. And it's going to come through for me in the immediate case. I've got an unlawful detainer case that I mentioned, that I've got a summary default judgment against the attorney and the law firm that was involved in this. And the good news about that is I did it just like I'm known for doing, by setting the unopposed record in the trial court. And that's not only can I do that for you in your case, we'll talk more later, that even if your case goes backwards and it didn't get done, it did get constructively done, and therefore you can proceed with your claims without statute of limitations. So that said, the default judgment looks like this, filed document, um, filed, not received. Filed, received isn't jack shit, but filed is, the case is over. All I'm waiting for is for a judge to be assigned here. I did this so quickly that the judge hadn't even been assigned to the case yet, and all he has to do is take about 30 seconds and sign the order. See you later. Have a nice day. And we can do this in a lot of respects. By the way, this is unlawful detainer. Okay, I get that. So you say, wait a minute, I've got traffic court, or I have CPS, or DMV, or whatever. It works against any administrative agency, and that's all they have. You're never at any time in the judicial court. If you get documents filed, as I did in my unlawful detainer case, they don't answer them. And you go in there, as I did on the record as a private attorney general, and demand the Black Robe bastard provide a factual foundation and legal basis for a one-word denial of an unopposed motion, and he doesn't say two words. That's dead bang evidence. The jury's going to get that. Not in a judicial court. That means every law on the books is a bill of attainder, and these bastards have been to law school, don't know that. 4 to 6 years, and they have the sworn duty to know what the law is, especially when they're confronted with it. And that's what never happens. I mean, virtually never does. The issues I have, screw civil rights. I mean, the 14th Amendment doesn't exist now. It never has. You can't go there for any relief unless you have a rare case like Rodney King, where they have to make it look good. That's it. In other words, to put it bluntly, the de facto national socialist government thinks that we have no rights that the government is bound to respect. That's what needs to be changed, people. First 125 years or so, it was exactly the opposite. The original intent of the framers was to recognize the sanctity of human life and creator endowed inalienable rights. First and only nation ever to do that. We need to get back to it. And I think the Supreme Court is trying to help us do that as quickly as they can. And that's really good news. You got that conservative majority on there. And if the Republicans win the quote unquote election in 2 years, they'll be there through the mid 2030s. Whether I see it or not, I don't know. But they'll have a lot more leeway to go further than what they have at this point. And boy, when you talk to me, seriously about what's going on in the last 2 terms, I can talk about that in intimate details that's going to make the perps on the other side get their checkbooks out. They can't beat us, and now they're getting to the point where they damn well know it. So that's a lot of good news there. So that said, I'm also looking potentially for some assistance with this case in various aspects, perhaps with an assignment of the case for collection purposes or whatever. It's a narrow window. It's going to be a very good payday, and I will need some investment capital up front. and hopefully somebody that can hook me up with a big upgrade in networking too, to get the word out here to the American people. You can do what I just did. You just have to know how, why, and when to do it. And you won't have to spend 20 years like I did figuring it out. By the way, it took a while. When it finally came together, I said, "My God, this can't be right." But it is, and now we have a conservative majority on the U.S. Supreme Court that knows it. And I can tell by the cases they've decided the last couple of terms. They have a couple of three more on the upcoming term, just started Monday, October 3rd. And we'll see how far they're willing to go here. So that's the exciting part. And for me, it's so good. I mean, I just turned 74 last month. Life is still ahead of me. That's how it's supposed to be. So it's going to get a lot better too. And I think a lot quicker, maybe before the end of the year here, where I'll have something more of a reasonable lifestyle. But, that said, I'm doing what I'm doing because I was put here to do it. And as I mentioned on earlier videos, I think I'm a refugee from March 5th, 1857. You can Google that and you'll find out exactly why I know. How I got here, I don't know. I have to ask Elon Musk and Bill Gates about that part. But I'm a refugee from the mid 19th century. And when I was growing up in the mid 20th century, I spent a lot of time in Virginia and West Bygosh, Virginia, with my mom's family. And they were still living a lot like what was going on 100 years ago. A lot of that rubbed off. Had I gotten any education a few years later in the mandatory public education system, it really would have rubbed off, particularly outside of Washington, D.C., where I was. But they didn't teach it now. They're not teaching it then, or didn't teach it then. They're not teaching it now either. They don't want you to know what your rights are. It's very dangerous. And that's why you need to learn it, pass it on to your children and your posterity. So anyone that thinks they can help out here, as I've suggested in the video, check in with me. Send me an email. I meant to say that earlier. youwinincourt@gmail.com. And for information about my materials too, my constitutional defense document packets, and I can help you with your case going and set unopposed records in the trial court and put you in the same position that I put myself and my friend in this unlawful detainer case. That's what beats them. And the great news for us is it isn't just our single case, it's every one across the country. And I'm going after a corporate landlord now, which I didn't have a real corporate one in this case, but a real corporate landlord in another case I have. And they just got a love letter from my friend and said, guess what? Counsel, me, just won this case and he's ready to go up against you. And we're going to do a quasi class action suit. And if need be, we're going to put your ass out of business here because you can't do what you did. Everybody knows it. Everybody in the trial court back there knew it, and you did it anyway. So this is how the system works, about which more on an upcoming video. I've talked a bit too long now. But like I say, subscribe, tell your friends, get the word out, and send me an email, youwinincourt@gmail.com. And we start doing that and we start acting like we own the place, you're going to find out that we actually do. That's how exciting this is. Thank you.